Good evening and welcome to the St. Augustine campus of the University of the West Indies. We want to thank you for joining us for this, our third in a series of virtual open days that the campus has scheduled over the next 2 months. I am Christy Manet-Smith, manager of the Financial Advisory Services Department, which falls under the umbrella of the Division of Student Services and Development, also known as the DSSD. Of course, our team works with students in various ways to provide non-academic support via our 8 departments, with the financial advisory services specifically focusing on providing financial aid, assistance, and advice to students. And this evening's session will focus exactly on that. We will share several financing opportunities available that could assist you with your undergraduate education. Now, I know we have joining us parents, guardians, siblings, teachers, and of course, our future students. So a very hearty welcome to all of you. I, of course, encourage you to make use of the Facebook chat and share your questions and concerns with us. Our chat moderators will be taking notes of your questions and we'll try to answer as many of them as we can to get the question and answer segment later on in the program. And if by the way, if you're thinking of becoming one of our postgraduate students this semester, don't worry, we got you covered. Come by tomorrow, Wednesday, the 21st of April, when we will host a virtual open day specifically for financial aid and services for you, especially our postgraduate students. So without further ado, here's our agenda. Our Deputy Principal, Professor Indar Ramnarayan, will offer brief remarks. Then we'll hear from UWI's financial manager, Mrs. Carolyn Gooding. And don't think you got rid of me, because I'll be right back after Ms. Gooding to share information on the many scholarships and bursaries available to our undergraduate students. And these scholarships and bursaries can be used, of course, to offset the cost of tuition, the cost of books, laptops, printers, etc. And I will tell you just how accessible this funding is. We then move to our question and answer segment. So be sure to post your questions throughout this Facebook Live, and we will answer your questions on financing your degree at the UWI St. Augustine campus. I invite our esteemed Deputy Principal, Professor Indar Ramnarayan, now to say a few words. Professor, over to you.
Thank you very much, Christy, and thank you to our online audience for tuning in to the third session in our series of virtual open days. Tonight, we're speaking about how you, as an undergraduate student, can access financial support to successfully complete your chosen degree at the St. Augustine campus of the University of the West Indies. As Deputy Campus Principal, I am responsible for addressing unresolved student matters on a daily basis. This has allowed me to get a better understanding of the challenges experienced by many of our students. One of the issues that students often encounter is financial hardship. There's no doubt that financial challenges have been and will be exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic's impact on worldwide economies and the finances of ordinary citizens. You do not have to face these challenges alone. The St. Augustine campus community is here to help. This open day session is meant to show you just how you can navigate what may seem like insurmountable challenges. As you will hear, there's some 350 scholarships and bursaries available to full-time registered undergraduate students locally, regionally, and internationally. These are funded by our loyal donors, some of whom are staff members at the UWI. Some are corporate business partners. Some donors are alumni or secondary schools, past pupil associations, and of course, the Rotary clubs. They all have a few things in common. They all want to assist so that Trinidad and Tobago and this region will in turn benefit from your knowledge, expertise, and commitment to a sustainable economic future. They all want to see our students succeed so they can take their place in moving us forward and enriching our future. They understand that education at the tertiary level has propelled the Caribbean thus far, and we need that boost to take us even further. Many of the leaders in our region who have helped to develop our nations, our presidents, prime ministers, leaders of the public and private sectors, perhaps your parents or your neighbors, are alumni of this regional university. We want you to be part of the St. Augustine campus family and perhaps become one of the future leaders of our region. We want you to bring your intellect, your creativity, and innovative thinking to the UWI. And we do not want finance to be a stumbling block for you. We want you to become one of our game changers, not just for your personal success, but because this country and region are relying on you. I'm sure you will agree with me that we need new ideas and new ways of thinking, especially if we are to emerge on the other side of COVID-19 intact and ready to move forward. You can be the game changers who will begin the process of rebuilding our economies, societies, and the environment. So I invite you to join us here at the St. Augustine campus and to listen carefully to the advice that will be provided this evening. We are here to help you become that distinctive UWI graduate that we encounter every day. Anything is possible. You simply have to reach for it, and we will help you achieve your goals. Thank you very much. And back to you, Christy.
Thank you very much, Deputy Principal. You've certainly set the stage. As we move into Ms. Gooding's segment, Ms. Gooding, thanks again for being here with us. Ms. Gooding is our financial manager. She's located in the student account section of the bursary, and she will provide an overview of the options available for financing your undergraduate education. Remember, as she goes into her presentation, to continue posting your questions on our Facebook chat, and we will address them shortly. Over to you, Carolyn.
Hi, good evening. Thank you, Christy. Good evening and welcome to all. I am Carolyn Gooding, Senior Financial Manager with responsibility for student accounts at the bursary. Also with us today is my colleague financial manager, Mr. Kevin Kalu. This evening, we'll share with you some information on financing your degree. We understand that the global pandemic, as Professor Ramnarayan has just explained, has resulted in both social and financial challenges, and we at the UE are here to assist you with financing your degree. So let's start. We'll begin with GATE. All nationals of Trinidad and Tobago can access GATE funding to cover tuition fees only. To do so, you will first be required to get a GATE ID by visiting any TT Connect office with your ID card and birth certificate. Once you've obtained your GATE ID, you will then be able to log onto the eGate website and apply for funding. Note that you will be required to apply for GATE for each semester that you are registered at the UE. Undergraduate students can qualify for up to 100% GATE funding. So the funding percentage is known as the means test rate. This rate is determined by the GATE office based on the supporting documentation which is uploaded with your GATE application. Effective August 2020, the means test funding policy was amended as follows. There's a mandatory means test for all GATE applications, or if this is not done, it disqualifies the application from being considered for further GATE funding. Where the household income is below $10,000 per month, students are eligible for 100% GATE funding. Where the household income is above $10,000 but less than $30,000 per month, students are eligible for 75% GATE funding. And where the household income is $30,000 but less than $75,000 per month, students are eligible for 50% GATE funding, Where the household income is above $75,000, you will be ineligible for GATE funding. Please note that GATE funding is provided for no more than one program up to the undergraduate level. Help loans. Students who qualify for GATE can also access help loans to cover the portion of fees which are not covered by GATE. So in essence, tuition fees for TNT nationals can be financed through a combination of both GATE and help loans. So let's move now to the student payment plan, which is another option for financing your degree. The student payment plan is available for tuition and hall fees. And it is available for all TNT nationals pursuing either undergraduate or postgraduate programs at the UWI St. Augustine campus. It's also available to a national of another contributing territory who is not receiving scholarship support from their respective government, and to a student whose tuition fees are at least $2,600. So these payment plans run every semester, and they comprise 2 or 3 monthly installments. So once you qualify for the student payment plan, simply make your payment by the stipulated deadline dates each semester. And the deadline dates are itemized here. We also have compulsory fees and whole fees. So compulsory fees are payable at the beginning of each academic year. A payment plan is also available for the payment of whole fees. You can refer to our fee booklet online for more information, and the link will also be posted in the chat for ease of reference. So how do you pay your fees? There are a number of options for doing so. You can do so at any branch of Republic Bank using the UWI Student Bank Deposit Slip, online using the UWI Online Payment System portal via credit card, via bank transfer using internet banking. We ask that you keep your receipts safe because you're going to have to refer to them further in your application. Or for foreign students, you can pay your fees via wire transfer. So in summary, there are a number of options available to you to finance your undergraduate degree. And we at the UWI Bursaries Student Account section are here to assist you. I thank you for your time and attention, and we all look forward to seeing you soon. And I'll hand you back to Christy, our moderator.
Thank you very much, Ms. Gooding, of course, for that insightful presentation. I know that financial matters are often a concern to students, and I know that from your presentation, they got the requisite information on how to pay fees, the options available, because here at the St. Augustine campus, we do not want money concerns to be what keeps you back from pursuing your goals. So I hope that that bit of information was informs your decisions. And so at the very top, I indicated to you that you could not get rid of me that easy. So I am actually up next, and I will share with you even more information on our undergraduate scholarships and bursaries here at the St. Augustine campus. I know Professor Ramnarayan would have spoken to you at length, well, I guess briefly, about those awards that are available and who they come from, our donors and so on. And so today I will delve a little bit more into the nitty-gritty behind those particular awards. To do so, today we will be looking at both scholarships and bursaries, as well as our financial aid opportunities. We will be more focusing, of course, on financial aid as a tool to allow you to transition into the UWI program and for your tenure here at the UWI. But more pointedly, the scholarships and bursaries as an opportunity for you to really zone in and access that much needed finance to fulfill your degree as we move forward. So without further ado, let me start my presentation. Okay. All right. All right, excellent. So today we're here to talk about financing your degree. And so one of the main responsibilities of the Financial Advisory Services Department is to provide aid, advice, and assistance. I would have mentioned that to you. And while we have our aid programs, we want you to know that we recognize some of the challenges that you're facing. And so we want to present scholarships and bursaries as one such opportunity for you to really take advantage of all the support services through these financial tools to help you as you navigate the UWI system. So let's just touch a little bit on our financial aid programs. Here at the Division of Student Services and Development, we have 3 financial aid programs for support. Our Adopt a Student program, which allows for a monthly stipend of $400 to eligible candidates for a semester period, renewable upon review of your case at the end of the semester and into the new semester. And so our Adopt a Student program allows you to, take care of those day-to-day expenses such as transportation, in your case, maybe buying memory sticks, ensuring that you have meals because of course a healthy body, healthy mind, and all the other day-to-day living expenses that would afford you the opportunity to continue with your UWI education. Now, I must mention that these financial aid programs, the Adopt a Student in particular, is funded by through voluntary contributions from our staff members here at the UWI St. Augustine. All levels, all categories of staff contribute to this fund to support our students. So you can tap into that. Of course, the information on that is available on our webpage at sta.uwi.edu/DSSD. So check out our webpage, navigate to Financial Advisory Services, and you will get more information on our Adopt a Student program when you enter in September 2021. The second program that we have is our Hardship Grant, and this offers a one-time stipend, a one-time grant to students who may be facing extenuating circumstances. It goes through a rigorous process, which involves verifiable evidence submitted by students, an application form which students must also submit, indicating to us the types of circumstances they are facing, including the income in the home, the expenditure in the home, and allows for a brief description, more qualitative type explanation of what they are going through so that we can assess the case, and goes through, of course, the approval processes by the higher authorities. From there, it would be determined how much students can get. It's usually a cap of $5,000 or any part thereof. And this is determined, of course, based on the case we are presented with and the verifiable evidence to support such claims. The third program, which is very, very new, because the university recognizes the impact of the COVID pandemic, we've worked with the Student Guild, who have so generously contributed towards assisting students impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic through the donation of funds. And so we have our COVID aid program, and I'm happy to share that we've been able to help regional, international, and local students, all levels of students, from certificates to undergraduate to postgraduate students, through these funds. Of course, our funds and the disbursement of funds is in relation to the campus's resources and the general resources given. And so each case is taken as is and determined, and the level of need determined based on the application documentation that you submit. So those are our 3 programs. And as I mentioned to you before, you can access more information on this by going to our website at sta.uwi.edu/DSSD. So now let us get into the meat of the matter. Let's go into our scholarships and bursaries. And first up, I want to share with you some real fast facts about our scholarships and bursaries here at St. Augustine campus. So what you would be interested in knowing is that most of our scholarships and bursaries have a financial need component. It means that our donors recognize that we must have a GPA requirement, but they also build in as part of their criteria together with us that area that supports students who may display some measure of financial need. And like our financial aid programs, the need is assessed based on documentation and verifiable evidence and scored accordingly. But what this essentially says, students, is that at the university, we understand the socioeconomic challenges that you're facing. And while scholarships are usually based on academic merit primarily, in our case here at St. Augustine, the financial need gives you more access and more eligibility to ensure that you are considered once you submit the requisite financial need documentation and once donor has that as a component. Secondly, some of our awards offer paid internships. So some of our donors have been very generous. Of the 50 odd privately donated awards, we have at least 3 or 4 of them that have paid internships built in as part of their criteria, which means that not only do you get funds for from the award itself, once you apply and you're considered and you're accepted and you're approved, but certainly if you are fortunate enough to be awarded by that donor, you would then be able to enjoy the benefits of a paid internship during your vacation period. Of course, students, you must cater for this. So in accepting the awards, you accept the terms of the awards. And so if you know that, for example, you are a regional student or you're a student who may live in a remote area and there's absolutely no way you can go to this workplace in Port of Spain or wherever they're located, you must take that into consideration before accepting the award. Thirdly, the undergraduate full-time registered students. This is, I am talking to you here. So once you are undergraduate, once you are registered full-time student, you will be eligible to apply for a UWI St. Augustine Campus Award. And importantly here, you would have heard Ms. Gooding speak a short while ago about the GATE funding. I'm happy to say that even though you are GATE funded, you can still apply for our scholarships and bursaries. And that is because our scholarships and bursaries are non-tuition based awards. And what does that mean? It simply means that while you may use the funds to pay tuition, it is not mandatory that it is used to pay tuition. You can use it, the funds are essentially yours to do with as you please. We would hope that you would use it for good causes. We would hope that if you do have an outstanding amount, you clear it. If you need to get equipment and other tools to support your degree, to support your program, that you tap into those funds and utilize it for that purpose. Okay, so those are some of the fast facts about our scholarships and bursaries. And I hope they're appealing to you. I hope that we're seeing questions coming up in the Facebook chat because I'm really, really excited to share more about our awards and to hear what you have to say and to see how best I can respond to your questions. But apart from the fast facts, what is also interesting is that our awards start at a minimum of $5,000 and our highest award is about $3,000. So here at the St. Augustine campus, our $5,000 awards are usually bursaries, which are one-time awards. So you apply, you are nominated for a bursary, and it means that it would stand for one academic year. But when the next application cycle opens, you are more than welcome to apply again. So in other words, our bursaries are, some of them are non-renewable and they're usually around the non-renewable ones are usually around $5,000. Whereas we have continuous scholarships that would take you through the tenure of your degree. Once, of course, you meet the requisite eligibility requirements from year to year. So for example, if a donor asks for a 3.0 GPA and that there's consistent financial need, again, verifiable, and you all will learn to love that word just now. Certainly the donor, the following year, if the following year comes around, the donor is looking to ensure that you have indeed achieved a 3.0 GPA, the same that you would have had when you first got your degree. So that's just to give you a sense of the kind of criteria and how it works for our continuous awards. But exciting here is what can $5,000 do for you? And so I often say this, you know, $5,000 in this particular time, coming deeper into the COVID pandemic, a lot of changes on the home front, the personal front. $5,000 now can purchase you a laptop. You can buy equipment, you can buy your books. Law students, you can buy your books. Medical sciences students, you can buy equipment, your lab coats and whatever is necessary through this $5,000 award. For those of you who are living in remote areas, and you may need to get extra internet connections, that can afford you the ability to maybe pay for an extra package, more bandwidth perhaps for over a semester period, over an academic year, if you really do split up the funds accordingly. But certainly what I'm trying to say, the long and short, is $5,000 right now could really, really help you to get the kind of UWI education that we hope that you would receive at the end of the day. As I said before, do not let money matters stop you from getting the education that we are providing here. And we are here to assist. So the only way you can really get the $5,000 is if you apply. So this is a plug here for you to apply. All right, so let's move right along. A lot of students ask us, what do donors look for? What's the criteria? I don't think I'm eligible. That's a statement that's heard all the time. I mean, they think of scholarships and bursaries as this very elite over academic merit type award. But I'm here to tell you today that our donors have a range of criteria. And the three main ones I'll start with would be, of course, academic merit. Students, you will appreciate that academic merit is important because we are indeed an academic institution. And so we ask for a 3.0 GPA, but there are times when our donors actually go down to a 2.5. And when I say a 3.0 at the University of the West Indies, that is weighted in terms of a B plus average. Okay, and anything below that would be like a B, for example, a 2.5. But bearing in mind that there are other factors that impact the academic performance of students, our donors work with us to ensure that there's a financial need component. I touched on that before, and I'll go in more into depth with it in a few later slides. But that's the second criteria they usually have, financial need. The extent to which the student is experiencing financial challenges is scored on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest. And of course, we use our internal systems to determine that based on the documentation you submit. And third, they look for some sort of involvement in extracurricular or co-curricular activities. One of the reasons why you will choose the University of the West Indies is because of how holistic we are. We're academic, but we're also involved in a number of different areas that allow us to raise that next game changer. And so when we say choose action as part of that game changer drive, what we're saying is get involved in the extracurricular activities that are not only available in your region, in your districts, in your communities, but also here at the UE St. Augustine campus. We have our Guild of Students, our administrative officer, the manager there, who's also part of the division. And they have been putting all their programs online, all their extracurricular. The clubs have gotten involved in different ways because of the COVID pandemic. We've shifted, let me use the keyword, we've pivoted and allowed for students to now engage in extracurricular activities online. So you can check out the Guild for more information on that. But certainly for students who are kind of concerned, what is extracurricular? Maybe you're so caught up in doing volunteerism and community engagement that it has become a part of you and you don't recognize that that is actually what we're looking for. So I'm here to say that involvement in extracurricular could be things like you've been involved in a club, a group, an association that's recognized. You've been doing community service in your church, in your community, volunteer work in your church, your community, in your schools, because you're now coming in for the first year students. You would have done stuff through your Rotary clubs, Rotaract perhaps, and other engagements at the 6th form and 5th form level. You are free to put those engagements online and of course have it authorized by the respective parties. We have also included entrepreneurial activities. So if you can show us that, you too have pivoted, you too have, taken up the mantle and said, what, I want to be this game changer from now. And so I am going to start to tutor online. I'm going to start to teach some sort of skill that I've developed online. All those are factored into the extracurricular activities form. So be guided by that. Now, apart from that, the donors have a range of criteria. And I really want to stress on it because the criteria allows you to access the awards. All right. So for example, because of how broad it is, it will give you access. Maybe you might meet one of the criteria better than someone else. So for example, some of our donors may ask that you be a member of their organization or association. For example, the Holy Name Convent, Past People's Association, they look for alumni within the last 5 years who would have attended their school. St. Joseph Convent Past People's Association, they do the same. Teachers Credit Union, they want to know that whoever is getting their award, their mother and father is a teacher and part of that union. And so you get access through the variations in the donor criteria. We have, for example, donors who have specific, who cater for a specific area. So for example, we have CGCL, who looks at those in the La Brea and environs area. National Energy Company, they take care of their students who may be in the Mayaro and Guayari area, those rural areas. We have the Bob Gopi Award, and we're really hoping that someone cops that award this year. It's $18,000. And it's among other criteria, it's the students who are in the St. Andrews and St. Patrick district. We have also awards that are for specific undergraduate programs. Maybe we have perhaps about 6 awards. And in addition to that, I also want to say that we do have faculty specific awards. And so, for example, for the Faculty of Engineering, we have 27 awards available. For the Faculty of Science and Technology, 20 awards. For the Faculty of Humanities and Education, 22. Faculty of Law, 19. Social Sciences, 17. Food and Agriculture, 23. Medical Sciences, 17. And Faculty of Sports, 16 awards. Now, those are the privately donor-sponsored awards. But we also have the UWI Development and Endowment Fund. Now, I know you and your parents must have heard about the UWI FET, and that's where all the funds come from. The UWI Development and Endowment Fund offers 200 bursaries valued at $5,000 and 10 bursaries for excellent academic performance valued at $15,000. And so your opportunities, I'm saying this to say your opportunities are vast. There are over 350 awards offered to new and continuing students. And so, you know, the only way to access it is if you apply. I want to just go a little deeper to help you to understand how the selection criteria works. So we're looking at selection criteria in action so you can see how you may easily get an award based on being part of an association or submitting your financial need documents. This is the importance here. Look at this. In this first example, we have John and we have Jack. The donor's criteria is in the middle section. So the donor here is asking for a GPA of 3.0 and above. They want a financial need. They want to make sure the student has some aspect of financial need. Remember I said, our financial need is scored on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest. They are also looking for a student in the Faculty of Engineering who is pursuing the specific program, Civil with Environmental Management, but they also want a second-year student. Now let's just go through this real quick. John has a 3.2 GPA and Jack has a 3.0 GPA, less than John, but still within the criteria. Let's look at financial need. John has 7 out of 10 and Jack has 6 out of 10. Still very fair. If we move down, they're both of the Faculty of Engineering and they're both doing civil engineering. But here's the stickler. The donor wants a second-year student. And so John is a third-year student who's met all the criteria. He has a higher GPA, higher financial need than Jack, but Jack is the second-year student. So who do you think will get the award? Yes, Jack. Jack will get this award because although they both meet 4 out of 5 of the criteria set, only Jack has fulfilled all 5. And so that is essentially to show you how this thing works and why it's important for you to really apply for this award, these awards. Let's look at a second example. We're looking at Emily and Sarah. The donor is asking for a 3.0 and above GPA, financial need of course, highest being 10. The student can be in any faculty, the student can be in any year, but the student must have attended Holy Name Convent within the 5 years. We're using Holy Name as the example here. Sarah and Emily both have a 3.0. They both have financial need, Emily 5, Sarah 6. They're both in the faculty and they're both in year 1, fine. But Emily would have attended Holy Name Convent for over the last 2 years or within 2 years, but Sarah didn't. So in this case, I wish we were live so I can hear you, but in this case, Emily would receive the award. And my final example is going to be based on the UWI Development and Endowment Fund STAR Award, which focuses on highest GPA and involvement in extracurricular activities. And so you see, I want you to see how critical your involvement in extracurricular activities is here. Because Ronaldo has a 3.8 GPA and Aaliyah has a 4.0 GPA, but there's a high chance because Ronaldo has a 3 out of 5 in his extracurricular and Aaliyah doesn't, that Ronaldo will get this award. Now, let me just go back up a second. In the case of Emily and Sarah, and even in the case of Jack and Aaliyah, because these students meet some of the other criteria, they will be considered for another award. And so in the case of Sarah, because the UWI Development and Endowment Fund has prioritized Faculty of Humanities and Education as one of the faculties that they would like to give the award, while she did not get the Holy Name Convent Award, she will definitely be considered for another award, such as the one offered by the UWI Development and Endowment Fund, which is valued at $5,000. In this case, Ronaldo will get the one valued at $15,000. So I hope to all who are on, the parents, guardians, and parents, please encourage your students to apply. You know that this presents a better idea of how the selection criteria works and how important it is for you to submit all your supporting documentation as you apply for these awards. And so it's a simple application process. 1, 2, 3, and that's it. You visit our website, read through the guidelines thoroughly, complete and submit the supporting documents, and I'll just touch on that a little bit just now. The financial need the document is especially important. And once you complete those documents, you submit it into our online portal. It's a jot form that you just provides more bio data for us. So you're clicking apply and you're going through the jot form, upload the supporting documents, and then you click and submit. It's as easy as that. Now let me get just 1 to 2 more minutes just to go very briefly into supporting documents, because we have those excellent students who would send in their supporting documents, and we were so proud of them that they do. But then the verifiable evidence side of it is missing. And so we have to engage in a number of follow-up emails, follow-up calls to ensure that the evidence supports the documents. As I said before, that's critical. So supporting documents include our income and expenditure form, which really gives us a clear sense of your family's income, your income if you're self-supporting, whoever is your guardian, parent, whoever is supporting your degree, and the expenditure in the household that you're in. This form with that type of information has to be notarized by a public notary or commission of affidavit. And we also have our extracurricular form and our sporting activity form for those student athletes that you must fill out and complete and have signed by, of course, your respective coaches, associations, etc. Now, when we speak about verifiable evidence for the income and expenditure form, we're talking about things like job letters, Social Security grant receipts. If you are being funded by maybe a grandparent or someone who's receiving pension, we need to see a copy of their pension slip. Utility bills, for example, your electricity bill, and of course, a certified job letter for those who are self-employed. And of course, you would appreciate that we have a responsibility to the donors and to the UWI to ensure that the funds are indeed sent to the right quarters. And so this type of verifiable evidence is critical to our processes. For our extracurricular form and sporting form, we ask that the letters are stamped and signed by your authorized club, your coaches, your whatever organizing groups you belong to, UWI Spec if you're part of a UWI Spec team, a university team. For those of you who may be part of clubs on the campus, of course, the president of the clubs have it signed and stamped on an official letter, scan and upload. Happy to say that all our processes are indeed digitized, and so everything can be uploaded to us online. And just a point to note, on our webpage, when you go to the Apply Now section, you would see a number of blue bars indicating what is available. The first bar will say Main St. Augustine Campus Application. And so all our awards, well, most of our awards, over 350 awards, you will be submitting one application via that link and will be considered for the range of awards that are available. So let me just say that again, the main St. Augustine Campus Awards for continuing students, you click on that link and you're submitting one application. There are other awards under the title heading Other St. Augustine Campus Awards. For those, you must submit individual applications. For our first year students, we have a separate section for you which clearly identifies first year student awards. And that's where once it becomes available, you will see the blue bar appearing and it will highlight first year students award. And that's where you go to click on your link to apply to be considered for the range of awards available. And we're winding down now in this presentation. I just want to say that our application period for new students opens from the 1st to the 30th of September 2021. And so if you go on our link right on our page right now, you will not see the link because of course you have to be, you have to receive an offer, you have to be registered and of course apply to scholarships and bursaries from the 1st to the 30th of September when you're on board with us. And I'm really, I know that you will be on board and I'm really excited to see who our new batch of students are going to be this year. And for continuing students, our application period is from January to May 29th. So at the end of next month, we should be closing off our continuing students applications portal. So I invite you to please go onto the webpage at sta.uwi.edu/scholarships to get more information. And of course, students, please, you can start reading for your degree by reading the guidelines so that you know your eligibility and ineligibility criteria before you step into the Apply Now portal. And so I want to thank you for your attention. I hope that this session, this particular segment was interesting. It piqued your interest. I hope that you're running to apply for continuing students who are on board, and for new students, I know that you're excited to apply. I want to say that we are here to help you. We're here to support you. We are located on the first floor of the Lloyd Bradford building when you return to us sometime in the future. But until then, we are here via email at financial.advisory@sta.uwi.edu. You can reach us at 868-662-2002, extension 82360, 84185, 82100. And I'm happy to say that we're about to launch this week our live support sessions that will run every Thursday from 1 to 3 p.m. where a team member will be sitting with you and going through your application one-on-one to ensure that you get it completed and get it completed well. We're standing by. We can do our Zoom calls with you and our phone calls. We just want to hear from you and we are just ready and waiting to support you. So thanks again, and we will now move on to the rest of the program. All right, so I'm going to take off my presenter's hat, so to speak, and now take us through to our next segment where we're halfway through the program. And I know that you've been sharing your questions and your concerns on our Facebook Live chat. Please be assured that we are taking careful notes. We're recording everything. And we are fortunate enough to have on with us here today a student. And so right before we jump into our question and answer segment where you get to ask the questions and our team of experts here are on board to answer those questions, we are going to invite our most recent scholarship awardee, the Leon A. Cook Scholarship Awardee for 2020-2021. And for this award, the student would have had to have a GPA of 2.5 and above. The student would have had to be in the Faculty of Sport and of course display the skill set in the area of sport via supporting documentation. A sterling application, awesomely submitted, every piece of supporting documentation submitted. And so I invite to the floor now Mr. Shash Ramsarup to share with you his experience. We want to hear from the students, his experience on how the application process went and how he felt when he received the award. Shash, over to you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Sitaram, assalamu alaikum. First and foremost, I would love to give thanks for receiving this award. To be honest, at first, I never really considered myself an athlete, although I worked as hard as one, but I never considered myself an athlete until I was accepted for the scholarship. Being a FIFA and TTFA national referee, and with the stigmas that's attached to us, I never really considered myself an athlete. But after receiving this award, it's only until then I realized that I can consider myself an athlete. I never did because it's more a passion I did my sports for. Secondly, as of today, I maintain a 3.2 GPA. It is hard sometimes, yes, but with everything in life, sacrifice is needed, as well as balance. This award has really helped me a lot in the sense that I'm not ashamed to say it, but I belong to a single parent household. My mom has recently retired from the teaching service. She has been involved as a primary school teacher for over 33 years, and she is now considered a pensioner. And doing this degree, which is sport kinetics, I am currently pursuing. It is unfortunate, but we do not receive gate funding, so it's difficult sometimes. So receiving this scholarship really and truly helped a lot. My mom, although she does help a lot, I was able to at least take the burden off of her by receiving the scholarship. Even my dad is proud of me, and I'd really like to give thanks for this award. This award has even helped me strive towards, as a young adult, being a greater independent person. So once again, thank you to the university for this award.
Shash, thank you so much for that. And we always like to hear the true stories, the real stories behind the scenes. If I may, Shash, just to invite you just for a short while, again, just for a moment,
Sure thing, ma'am.
just to share with us and the students out there and the parents, what was the application process like for you? How did you feel? Did you believe that you would get an award? How were you intimidated by the application process?
Well, yes, at first I was, because seeing the award, student athlete, I consider myself only a student, however, not the athlete part. And with this award, it's good to know that persons are taking interest in upcoming athletes and are taking a step towards helping sports in Trinidad and Tobago. The application process for me was quite brief, I must say. I submitted the form, I did say a prayers, and within a short span of time, I actually received a reply email stating that yes, they had received my documents. And I must commend the bursaries and those involved for the swift action and reassurance, knowing that yes, my items were received.
Thanks for that, Shash. And of course, all things through prayer. And so we appreciate that as well. Just to say, students, Shash, thank you so much, and our regards from the university to your parents as well for raising such an awesome and really sterling example of a child, and we are happy that you are part of our Pelican community, and of course we remain here to support you. We invite you to apply again, because while your award was received for this academic year, you will still be eligible for applying for the next academic year. And that's the beauty of these awards. And so Shash, thank you so very much for this. Students, I hope that you were able to get some insight. You see the possibilities. You've heard it from, one of your peers, what a scholarship and bursary can do for you and your family. And so we are now moving into the question and answer segment of our program. And so we're going to try to address as many questions as we can. And if you don't hear a question that you presented answered on air, we'll definitely post the response on the chat. We have a number of personnel here with us, Mr. Kevin Kalu, Ms. Carolyn Gooding, Deputy Principal, I believe, is here as well. And we will now move towards answering some of your questions as posed in the chat. Okay, so let's go with the very first question. And it states here, one second, my apologies. Do students have to register to obtain the student payment plan through some sort of online registration portal? Or is it that once they meet the criteria that they are listed previously, that they do automatically qualify for the payment plan? And so I will call on Mr. Kalu, Mr. Kevin Kalu, to answer that question, if you may, Kevin.
Of course, Christy, thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our prospective students and our existing students as well. That's a good question. The payment plan system that we have right now is still a manual one. So essentially, once a student satisfies the relevant criteria, they can simply make their installments by the stipulated deadline date. So there's no formal document or agreement to sign as yet. Again, once you qualify for once you satisfy the criteria, you can simply make your payments in line, your installments in line with the relevant stipulated deadline dates, and you'll be fine. Now, having said that, I just want to allude to an online payment plan system that is coming soon. But we'll talk about that later, but it's coming soon. But right now, the payment plan is a manual one, no real formal process. Once you satisfy the criteria, make your installments by the deadline dates, and you're good to go.
Thank you so much for that, Mr. Kalu. I think that was very clear. Of course, students, if you have any further questions, continue sending it in the chat. And we just like to move right on to the second question here. I would like to ask our Deputy Principal, Professor Ramnarayan, if he would field this one. And the question is asking, I would like some clarity on students enrolled. With the N1 program, my question is, would GATE be funding my undergraduate program when I start in September 2021? After asking GATE, they told me that the N1 is not an undergraduate program, and so they want clarification on this. Prof?
Okay, thanks very much, Christy. Up to recently, GATE would fund the N1 program, which we also called it the pre-science program. But with effect from August 2020, the GATE rules have changed in that because of financial constraints, the ministry is financing, but they have stated that they will finance only one undergraduate program. So unfortunately, programs such as certificate programs, undergraduate diplomas are classified as undergrad. So the student will have a choice. They can take the GATE funding for these certificates for the N1 or pre-science, but if they do so, then they disqualify themselves from being financed or being eligible for financial support for their BSc. So it makes a lot of sense for students to fund that program on their own. Remember, it's a one-year program, especially if they're going into more expensive programs such as engineering or medicine. The MBBS is actually 5 years. So it makes a lot of sense to try as far as possible to fund their own program, their pre-science or whatever certificate, and so be eligible for GATE funding for their BSc. Thanks very much, Christy.
Thank you very much, Professor, for that. And of course, more information will be available in the chat as we move right along. But before we get to our third question, I just want to just remind our students who are tuned in that those who may be interested in postgraduate financing options, we have a session for postgraduate students tomorrow from 6 to 8 p.m. So please feel free to tune in to Facebook for that session. And I'm just going to, I myself will take this third question that has come up. The student is asking, the prospective candidate is asking, I am a prospective student. If I apply for my program now, when do I apply for a scholarship or bursary? Excellent question. And so for prospective candidates, you would have to first, of course, receive an official offer from the UWI. You would have had to register for your program, the courses in your program, which usually takes place during the latter half of August and into September. And then between the 1st to the 30th of September this year, 2021, that's when you actually go onto our website at sta.uwi.edu/scholarships and get the requisite information and apply for a scholarship or bursary. So that your date, your application dates are the 1st to the 30th of September for incoming new students. That's you, the prospective student. I hope that that answered your question clearly. The next question here, actually, it's me again, so I'll just go right into it. What is the difference between a scholarship or bursary? And the difference really has to do with the value and the duration that you hold it. So a bursary is usually a one-time award. It's usually a lower valued amount, like $5,000, and the student would hold it for a particular academic year. And so every year you can reapply. You're reapplying every year to be considered. And a scholarship is usually more of a continuous award that is held for the duration of your program, and it is usually of a higher value. Okay, so we can really give you some more information and support you with some of your questions. If you can feel free to call us if you have more questions on that at Financial Advisory Services, and of course they will put our information in the chat for you. I'm going to ask Mr. Kevin Kalu, to take this next question. For students who need to pay fees or tuition, can it also be paid in US? And if it cannot be paid in the relevant currency, my apologies, can it be paid in US if it cannot be paid in the relevant currency? And will this follow through with any of our regional branches? Mr. Kalu?
Thanks, Christy. Yes, so as Carolyn mentioned in her presentation before, you can pay your fees online, which I would recommend, honestly, paying fees online with a valid credit card. You can also pay your fees at any branch of Republic Bank using our standard deposit slips. You can pay your fees online via internet banking, and you could also pay your fees through a wire transfer. And Karen said that most foreign students usually would opt for that method because they might be transferring funds from foreign bank accounts or foreign currency. So the answer to that question is yes, you can pay your fees in US dollars. That is not a problem. You can transfer those fees directly into our bank accounts, and our bank account information is available online on our website. And just to recap, again, you can pay your fees at any branch of Republic Bank using our deposit slip. You can pay your fees online using a valid credit card. You can pay your fees through internet banking, as well as for foreign students, you can pay your fees through wire transfer. Yeah, thanks, Christy.
Okay, great, Kevin. Don't go too far because we have another one for you. So a student is asking, a prospective candidate is asking here, if a student is granted 75% GATE funding, how do they know exactly how much they owe in tuition fees? For example, is there a section in the student portal to know how much is being owed? Or do they, for instance, get an email from the university stating such?
So good question again. We know that the calculation of fees could be a bit complicated. So it's important to understand some of the basics or the fundamentals with respect to tuition fees. First of all, with respect to GATE funding, we must remember that GATE funding is only applicable for tuition. So GATE would only cover a percentage of your tuition fees. So that's important to note. Other fees like compulsory fees, like hall fees, are not covered by GATE. So that's important for students to bear in mind. So if For example, you're getting funding from GATE to the tune of 75%. Then GATE is basically saying that they would cover 75% of what your tuition fees will be for that semester. So if your tuition fees for that semester is $10,000, then you'd be required to cover $2,500, and GATE will cover $7,500 of that $10,000. Now, again, if students find it difficult to work out these fees and the calculation become a bit difficult or challenging, they can always contact us at the bursary at student accounts, student section, using the stipulated email addresses, and we'll be all too willing to prepare a reconciliation for them or advise them as to what the amounts are and what the balances are, and do a calculation for them as well. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Mr. Kalu. Professor Ram Narayan, 2 questions for you actually, Prof. The first, if you already hold an undergraduate degree from the UWI, will you still be considered for funding to pursue a second?
Okay, unfortunately, the rules would have changed recently. So if a prospective student already has an undergraduate degree, you would not be eligible for GATE funding for the new undergraduate degree that they wish to pursue. And that's a really good question because it does affect some students.
Yes, it is. Thanks so much, Prof. Just the second question right away. With the number of restrictions in place, are co-curricular activities like sports and clubs, etc., still taking place on the campus?
Unfortunately, no. Campus is still restricted. So we have moved to having most of our classes online. For the practical sessions that cannot be done virtually, we do allow students to come to campus, but these are in small groups. They have to be socially or physically distanced and so forth. So we are being very careful here because we are in the middle of a pandemic and things seem to be getting worse, both globally and nationally. So we need to be very careful. So we are not allowing any type of co-curricular activities at this point in time. Thank you, Christy.
Thank you, Prof. And we have another question coming in here, and the question pertains to the timing of the disbursement of funds. So after being awarded a scholarship or bursary, how long does it take for funding to go through? And so with a scholarship or bursary, there are a number of processes. In the same way you would have to apply, we go through our processes internally to ensure that all the necessary, the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. And so our meeting for scholarships and bursary, our selection meeting, usually takes place for continuing students during the month of October, and students are awarded, during the month of, September, October, and students are usually awarded toward the end of October and into the month of November. Let me repeat that. Our continuing students, our meeting takes place in August, and students are usually awarded in October. Our new students are usually awarded nominated at our meeting in October and then awarded the funds in November. There was a bit of an anomaly. Of course, COVID pushed our processes back last year, but we are back on track. And so those dates, we are hoping that we are able to stick to it as we still navigate the COVID pandemic. So I do hope that that adequately answers your question. And now let's move on to another one. And so I will call on Mr. Kalu. Is it true that GATE will no longer be funding continuing students? Will this new restriction apply to all new students as well? And if yes, then what funding options are available?
Right, thanks, Christy. So what we understand is, well, first of all, I would say to that, it's not true. GATE will continue to fund continuing students. What GATE did, they made some adjustments to their criteria and their policy and their funding policies back that came into effect in August 2020. These new restrictions, these new policies, these new criteria are applicable to new students as well as continuing students. And but the biggest impact really was on the postgraduate students. Undergrad students still continue to get funding. For those students who were already in a program will continue to get funding based on the new guidelines, as well as new students can apply for funding again based on the new guidelines. The guidelines that Carolyn mentioned in her presentation previously still apply, and again applies to both continuing students as well as new students. Yep. So to say that GATE is no longer going to fund the continuing students would be incorrect. Continuing students will get funding and continue to get funding, but based on the new guidelines that came into effect August 2020. Right, Christy?
Okay, Kevin, still stand by. We have another GATE-related question here. If you're eligible for GATE funding of a particular percentage, for example, 75%, is that percentage applied every time tuition needs to be paid?
Right. So students, first of all, would be required to apply for GATE every semester. So that would normally be twice in an academic year. All right. So that's one important point to note. Normally, a student would be required to, or would be assigned a means test rate in their semester one application. And that would normally hold for the entire academic year. In fact, students who have been assigned a means test rate in semester one through their semester one GATE application would normally enjoy that same means test rate in their semester two application for their semester two, as long as they apply using the same information, same criteria, same details that they would have used in their semester one application. They use that same information in their semester two application. The application actually goes into what we call, again, a technical term, but I'll still say it, what we call an auto-clear type situation. So it automatically goes into clearance and uses the same means test rate from semester one. A means test rate essentially would hold for an entire academic year. It may change in your next academic year when you apply again. All right, so a means test rate would not hold for your entire program. You may get one means test rate in your first academic year for those first two semesters, and then a different rate in your second academic year for those other two semesters. So yeah, in terms of answering that question, just coming back to it here, sorry. Right, so the percentages will apply for one academic year. You'll be required to apply for GATE every semester, and the means test rate may change in your second academic year and in your third academic year. Okay?
Okay, thank you so much for that, Kevin. And I will just field these two questions. The first one is asking, can part-time students apply for undergraduate financing, or is it for full-time students? So our eligibility and ineligibility criteria states that full-time students are eligible for application for our St. Augustine Campus Awards. Now for part-time students, if in fact you are switching to a full-time program at the end of your current academic year, you will be considered once you make the switch over to full-time study, or once we get word that the application is in, and it will be favorably considered. And so the quick answer is currently only full-time students are eligible, but a part-time student can become eligible if they switch over to a full-time program. A second question asks, can I apply for more than one scholarship at a time to better my chances? And so we ask students to apply, to make one application to the main St. Augustine Campus Awards, and you will be considered for the range of awards because of how vast the criteria is. It's almost like Sudoku. You know, we have to match the right criteria to those who meet it best. And so while we're asking students that, there are other St. Augustine Campus Awards that would require you to submit an individual application, which will be so listed on our webpage. And we encourage students to, you know, while you're submitting one for the main application, please feel free to send in applications to other awards that might be available. Apart from the St. Augustine Campus Awards, we also have awards from the Office of the Board for Undergraduate Studies. That's at our headquarters in Mona. And they often send to us scholarship and bursary opportunities for students here at the St. Augustine campus. And those are listed under the heading OBUS, Office for the Board of Undergraduate Studies Awards, and you would see the list of awards going down. For those, you must submit individual applications. So the answer to that is yes. To increase your chances of being selected for the range of awards that are available, you do so once it is available in the link and it says open. Okay, so I hope that that touches on that question. When funding is received, is it for an entire year, for example, or is the $5,000 for a semester? And so the quick answer to that is really, it's for the academic year, but it's really how you spend it. You know, you can make it last, you can split it up across your semester. It depends on what you need the funds for. You know, you can use it to buy, if you buy a laptop for $3,000, you have an extra set of money. It determines how you want to move that over, if you want to move it to your next semester. But yes, it is for the academic year. In the case of this year, it would be for the 2020-2021 cycle. And for those of you who are applying now, it would be for the 2021-2022 cycle. So you're holding it for an academic year and you're applying again as we move forward. So moving right along, and students, I hope that you are still with us and you're still sending in your questions. Again, I want to remind you about our postgrad financing session tomorrow and the range of other faculty-specific open days that will take place during over the next month or so. And of course, this is an opportunity for us to also highlight the work of the Division of Student Services and Development, where the Financial Advisory Services Department sits. Here we have 8 departments, all here to support your journey. I tend to say we are the guardians of the student experience. And so we have departments like our accommodations office that takes care of the halls of residence and the students on those halls, the pastoral care that's required there. We have our student life and development department that tends to students who may be differently abled and students who are experiencing or may require some extra academic support. They can put you on to tutors, they can link you up with the right persons to help you to achieve academic success. We also have our counseling and psychological services department here to support you in terms of your mental needs. We do have as well our student activity center. Of course, they're working, you know, along with us to ensure that students remain supported, commuting students, those who are home in their quarters, that you remain supported. We have our Guild Administrative Office, who work very closely with the Guild of Students to ensure that on the student end things are taken care of, that student governance is maintained. And of course, we have our C3 department, who are very, very deep in their world of work activities right now. And the C3 department deals with community engagement, careers, and co-curricular activities. And so that department is here to help you with preparing you for interviews, preparing you with providing support for your resume writing. They link you up with internships. They're very close with the corporate network. And so they provide that type of career support as well that you may need as you journey through the University of the West Indies. And so students, I hope that that gives you an overview of the 7 departments. And of course, our 8th department is the Office of the Director, who oversees the actual division and who leads the charge in terms of programming and ensures that all the divisions work, all the departments work harmoniously to provide for you the necessary support that you would require. Students, of course, we invite you to continue sending messages in the chat. But I'm seeing an actual question here that has got me very excited. I am an alumni of the St. Augustine campus and would like to give a bursary. What is the process? And we love these questions because it gives us an opportunity to work with a potential donor to assist and provide support for our students. And so to this, this prospective donor, I invite you to please reach out to us. You can call me directly at 662-2002 extension 82360. I'd more than welcome your call so that I can guide you through the process, which is quite easy. We work very closely with our donors to ensure that, you know, we're meeting the criteria that is of mutual benefit. You can feel free to send us an email at financial.advisory sta.uwi.edu. So we'll be looking out for that email because that's very important, to us and to the service we provide. So thank you so much for that. We have another question here, Mr. Kalu, as we wind down for the afternoon. If a student already paid their compulsory fees for semester 1 of an academic year, but did not fully complete that semester because they rejected the offer they already accepted, but is applying again, do they have to pay the compulsory fees in full or only a part of it?
All right, Christy. Compulsory fees are payable at the beginning of the academic year and the whole for the entire academic year. So if a student has already paid compulsory fees in semester 1 and for some reason doesn't complete that semester, takes leave of absence or something of that sort, those fees are still applicable for that academic year. If they choose to come back into the second semester, then they wouldn't be required to pay compulsory fees again. Yep. So the same compulsory fees that they would have paid in the beginning of the academic year would hold for that entire academic year. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Kevin. Thanks so much for that. We're looking to wind down now, but we do have a few more questions that I'd really like to touch on. And one asks for us to, well, for me personally, to repeat about our online help sessions. And so from this Thursday and every Thursday thereafter until the end of May, until the 27th of May, our team will be online. You will be invited to register for these sessions. You should be receiving the emails as we speak, actually. Register for sessions to have one-on-one interface with a member of our team, and that would help guide you through the application process. Because I know there are a number of questions. We're not in a face-to-face mode that you can simply walk into the department. And so we've provided this particular facility for us to serve you and to serve you better by helping you really understand the scholarship and bursary application form. All right, so another question here asks, sometimes when companies and organizations give scholarships, there's a stipulation that the recipient will have to give back to the company, like work for them. Does that apply to these scholarships and bursaries? Most of our bursaries do not have that stipulation. Some of our bursaries actually require students to give voluntary hours, or they may have had to show that they would have done voluntary work before in some way. Some of the bursaries, like I indicated, would have an internship program, which is attached to the terms and conditions of accepting the bursary. But I would say they are in the lower percentage. Most of the donors give willingly, and they do not necessarily, they give to just ensure that Caribbean development through our student success here is enhanced, and that's why they give. They give because they want to support our students. So that if you check out our scholarships and bursaries booklet, which is available on our website, you will be able to see all the criteria that pertains to each donor, and so that you have a head start in terms of understanding what exactly the donors are asking. Okay, so I hope that that touches on that answer for you. Mr. Kalu, calling on you again. Does the UWI have any arrangements with banks? Any special arrangements?
All right, Christy. No, we don't have any special arrangement with any financial institution. I cannot tell you to go or tell a prospective student or student to go to any specific financial institution. Students and prospective students can approach any institution that they deem fit. What we can do is facilitate that process. So whatever documentation, information that might be necessary by that financial institution, we can assist the student or prospective student in acquiring, so that would make their application process for a loan or financial assistance all that easier. So we can assist with that, or in that regard, providing documentation that they would need to complete the application process with a financial institution. We can do that, but I cannot tell a student to approach a particular institution. We don't have any special arrangements with any particular banking institution. I mean, we our bank account is with the Republic Bank, and we would normally advise students to pay their fees at Republic Bank only because our bank account resides there. But you can make payments to any other banks using the other payment options. Yeah. So I'm also seeing here, Christy, if I may, somebody asked whether they can approach anyone for specific financial advice. Again, I guess this is what we're doing right now, giving students that information and financial advice in terms of managing their finances and covering their fees and so on. We're always willing to, I know at Financial Advisory as well as the students section, willing to give students, general advice in terms of how to manage their finances. That's something we can assist with without, being too specific or giving or directing them to any particular institution. We just can't do that. That will be a conflict of interest. Yeah.
Of course, Kevin, and thanks for that. I think it's really important for students to know too that we work harmoniously while we are in the Division of Student Services. We regularly liaise with our counterparts and our colleagues in other departments that are related. So Kevin and I, Miss Gooding, as well as the admission section, we try to work as a holistic team to ensure that we're all sending the same message and giving the same type of information that would be to the greater benefit of students. So thanks for that, Kevin. We have a question, and I would like to ask our Assistant Registrar Admissions if she would be able to take this one. The question is, where can I find out the cost of the programs?
Good evening, Christy. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thanks for that question. So the costs of programs are available on our website. There is the financial booklet that is available for 2020-2021. It has not yet been updated for 21-22, but it will hold for 21-22. So on our website, just hold. If we go to sta.uwi.edu/admissions/undergrad, if you navigate on that page, there is a link to the financial booklet, which will provide information on all the programs that are available at the St. Augustine campus. Thanks, Christy.
Thank you so much for that, Ms. Roberts. And of course, Ms. Roberts, our Assistant Registrar Admissions, on board with us here and ready to share information on the admissions process as well. I'd also like to ask Kevin if you could provide some guidance here again. The question asks, thank you. Well, students are so polite, and that's why we like them, to be part of our institution. The prospective student asks, okay, thanks for answering the question. They want to know though, will GATE be funding the degree programs for continuing students starting September 21-22? Of course, rumors are floating around about this. Lecturers were also trying to receive confirmation and information. So they also want to find out, in terms of for the parents, who, the type of funding that they would have to give to their students to continue from September. And so I don't know, Kevin, if you can provide some insight into funding the degree programs from 21-22.
All right, so we seem to have a concern here with respect to continuing students. Now, as I mentioned before, there were some changes made to the GATE policies that came into effect in August 2020. Unfortunately, the most adverse of those changes, students that have been adversely affected are actually not at the undergrad level, not so much at the undergrad level, but more at the postgrad level. And unfortunately, effective September 2020, funding at the postgrad level was discontinued. So I'm not sure whether undergrad students are thinking that is what is going to happen to them as well. But I would say to them, to my understanding, a continuing undergrad student will continue to get funding from GATE for his or her program. They simply have to continue the application process. They may or they will be subject to the new criteria in terms of the funding brackets and so on. But to my knowledge, to the best of my knowledge, they will continue to get funding at the undergrad level in a continuing program. It's really the postgrad students that would have been the most adversely affected given those changes that came into effect in August 2020. Yeah. Again, I understand that people have been trying to get into contact with GATE, and a lot of people have been trying to get in contact with GATE, and I urge you all to continue trying. They are there, they are available, they are bogged down because it's a lot coming at them, but continue to try to access them through their telephone line as well as via email, and I'm sure you will be able to get the information that you desire. Feel free to also visit their website. Their website has a link with a lot of frequently asked questions that you can use to get more information. There's also a short video that works you guys through the application process. So there's a lot of information on the website, on the GATE website, I'm saying, and we can share that link with them, Christy, I'm sure, via the chat. There's a lot of information on the GATE website that can help to answer some of these questions that are being raised. Yeah, and continue to try to contact them, and I'm sure you will eventually get through with them and get the information that you need.
Thank you so much for that, Kevin. And certainly our team is on board there, sending over to the chat the requisite information. Of course, students, you want to be reminded, especially continuing students, that there is a GPA requirement for GATE. I believe it's 2.00, Kevin, if you
that is correct.
Confirm, yes. So, we must be cognizant of the fact that GATE funding, of course, is contingent on a GPA requirement. And so I just want to take one final question before we wind down this afternoon, just to ensure that we're touching on all the questions asked. The student asked earlier whether if you were unsuccessful the first time around with applying for scholarships and bursaries, if you can try again. And the absolute answer to that is yes, yes, yes. Once you meet the eligibility criteria, that is, you still have one academic year at least in your program, in your undergraduate program. Once you are a full-time registered student, you can indeed apply to be considered for an award. Another question is, would the campus follow up with me for proof on what I spent the money on? Like I said, these are non-tuition based awards, and we do hope that you students use the money, to enhance your education, your university life. And we will follow up with you for a number of things to just find out how you're doing, how you're progressing, maybe if you need any further support, to invite you to apply again. But we just hope that you do in fact use the funds to your greater benefit. And so I want to thank you so very much, and to thank, of course, all our members of campus senior management, all our managers, administrators, to the members of the Division of Student Services and Development, the managers and the director. I want to thank you so much for being here on the call to support us as we go through the financial advisory, the financing your degree segment, this virtual open day. And so now I invite Professor Ramnarayan, Deputy Principal, to bring some closing remarks.
Thank you very much, Christy. And again, good afternoon or good evening, everyone. So I think we have had a really good session. We are here to help you. We do have 350 bursaries and scholarships available. In fact, we are hoping to make that 351 because we had someone willing to sponsor. So the message I want to leave, which is that don't let financial issues stop you. Go ahead and apply. The closing date is the 31st of July. Make sure and put in the application, and we will do our very best to see how we can help you if you need financial help. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the presenters, of course, Christy, who also chaired the session, Mr. Kevin Kalu and Mrs. Caroline Gooden for your input in handling the questions. So again, we encourage you to apply, and together we'll see how we can work to help you finance your program. Back to you, Christy.
Thank you so much for that, Prof. And thanks again for the team for being on board. And of course, to Mr. Shashram Sarup, our student who so kindly shared his testimonial with us this afternoon. And so this is the moment. We must bring this evening's program to a close. We really want to thank you all for joining us and for being so engaged. It's been our pleasure to host you, to be here with you, to field your questions, and of course to share the information that we hope will help you make that informed decision. And we look forward to welcome you to our campus, the St. Augustine campus, come September 2021. If you or someone you know is considering a postgraduate degree at the St. Augustine campus, our virtual open day will be held for those students, those candidates, those prospective postgrads candidates tomorrow, Wednesday, the 21st of April. And of course, we will be zoning in on financial aid and services for postgrad students. We're right here again, right here at 6 p.m. on the UWI's Facebook page. In the weeks ahead, you can look out for our faculty-specific open days, check the date for your area of interest, and get in-depth information on the many programs offered. Our prospective candidates, those of us joining us locally, regionally, and internationally, we want to also tell you about the Bue App. We branded a new app called Bue, developed by our very own students in the Department of Computer and Information Technology. And all you need to do is plug in your your CSEC and your CAPE subjects, and you will be able to discover a wide range of programs you can consider, some of which you may not have even thought of before. So it's an opportunity to get that information and to get it now. And so we have come to the end, but before we bid you farewell, we want to ask you to take part in our feedback survey. And so we welcome feedback as we aim to improve the virtual session. So you will see our feedback survey appearing in the chat, and we invite you, of course, to complete and submit. Thank you all again for joining us. All of us here at the UWI St. Augustine campus, we look forward very much to welcoming you to our campus. And we invite you to choose action and be a game changer. Thank you, and continue to be safe as we navigate this pandemic. Have a good evening.